Welcome to all of you who are online. This is We're at Dearborn. We just been getting an introduction to Dearborn. We're listening to that introduction. Did they understand? Okay. So Dearborn is unique, and this is the Arab capital, Arab Muslim capital of America. I guess that's the best way to put it. Not the Asian Muslim capital. And this is by far the largest group of Arab Muslims. Am I correct on that? In America. They tend to be mostly Yemeni and Iraqi and Lebanese. Those are the three groups that are here. Now, I don't work with Arab Muslims. In some ways, I get some competition over there. So in some ways, I'm fish out of water. Last week or two that I was in Minneapolis, where you're from, and there is Somali Muslims, primarily. Completely different cultural group, completely different mannerisms, completely different categories. My area of expertise is Asian Islam. And when I say Asian, I'm not talking about Indonesian. Our dear sister here is amazing. I don't know if you all know, but she has 5 different YouTube channels. But she's on 5 days a week. In fact, she was up early this morning taking on Muslims. She debates Muslims in Indonesia. I don't know anybody that has as much energy. She is the tigress of Indonesia. You don't mind me saying that. You all can't see who she is, but maybe it'd be good to get to know her. And so she is one of our students. She is the one that is actually taking a lot of our material and taking it to Indonesia, the largest Muslim country on earth. And she's really engaging face-to-face on the internet with them. One of the few that can do that. And so it's great to have her all the way up. Can I say you're from Florida? Or am I not? I've already said it. Sounds like that's out of the right. All right. So, but she never stays in Florida. In fact, she flew in at 12:30 this morning. I had to go pick her up at the airport because, as we well know, Florida has lots of lightning. And American Airlines likes to say whenever they have a delay, it's lightning that caused it. So she got delayed after delay after delay. But what's great is we're talking about many different flavors of Islam, and that really does really culturally change depending on who you're talking with. I don't know much about Arab Islam, but all of you do, because you live here, you work here. You know about Somali Islam, you know about Indonesian Islam. I know more about Bangladeshi, Indian, and Pakistani Islam, which makes up 600 million Muslims. Look at that number, 600 million Muslims. There's no other place in the world that has that many Muslims. That, by far, is the largest block of Muslims. They don't speak Arabic, but they may speak some words of it. They may have even memorized. We have some friends that are Hafis who have memorized the entire text. And I say, tell me, chapter 4, verse 171. And they just rattle off in Arabic. I say, okay, what did you just say? I have no idea what I said. They will have memorized it, but they won't even know what they've memorized. I say, it's much like if we were to memorize the entire New Testament in Greek. I'm going to feel like I'm at Speaker's Corner now with all these little things. We were just at Speaker's Corner last month, weren't we? You had the matter of fact. How many people have watched your video from Speaker's Corner? You see those numbers there? Those are astronomical numbers. And that was just for what? 10 minutes on the ladder at Speaker's Corner in London, of all places. And you talked about why you came to Christ and what was it what was wrong with Islam that you got fed up with, and how Jesus answered every one of your questions. Now that has had tens of thousands, almost over a few 100,000 of hits. And one of the things we're realizing is we are finding that Islam is growing so fast. It's going to soon be over 2 billion. It's going to soon surpass Christianity as the largest religion on earth. And just, some say, as early as 20 years. I think we're starting maybe to see that change, because we'll talk more about that later. But if that is the case, how are we going to get these 2 billion Muslims, and how are we going to break them up? I think one of the best ways to do that is what she's doing and what we're doing. You've got to not just talk on this. One of you just said you were in, where is he now? You were in Cairo, and there's 1 million Muslims for every Christian there, or for every missionary there, 1 million. But how many of those million do you actually meet? Maybe 30 in your whole career there. If you're using French to provide evangelism, you're not going to get the million. You see the problem? Friendship evangelism will get one here, maybe a few here. But that's way too slow. And we're not really shutting down Islam. We're not really taking up really the task that needs to be handed us. And this is why it's important that I'm talking to people on the internet. I'm talking also to people on the internet. Because on the internet, God has given us an amazing gift that we can go much faster, much quicker, with many more people to be engaged or be engaged by. And so that's why we have moved, and many of us are now moving our ministry to do just that, to start going at the foundations of Islam. I like that distinction that was made this morning. I love the Muslim, but I don't love Islam. We need to make sure we say that, and Muslims need to hear that. We're not against Muslims. And I'm getting tired of all of these missionaries that are mocking other Muslims. Stop mocking Muslims. We just stop that. I say that to all those who are watching. They are not our targets. Why are we making fun of all these great Muslim clerics who say stupid things? Why are we doing that? That's not our target. That's not what Christ was doing. We need to confront Islam. And we need to confront Islam at what it says, what it is, and what it's doing to those dear Muslim brothers and sisters. It's what Islam is doing to them that bothers me. It's what this book does to them. This is the book that causes all the problems. More so now in the last 2 weeks than any other time. Everybody is going back to this book. And I'll say a little bit more about that, what happened 2 weeks ago, because you all need to know what's going on. There's a huge backlash that's coming out, and it's happening as we speak. There is a realization that everything that Muslims do comes from one book modeled by one man. The Book of the Man, the Book of the Man. How many times did I say that in Minneapolis? How many times have I been saying that all over the world? Because it really comes down to that book and that man, and that's what we should be engaging with. We need to confront that book. We need to start looking at its pages and understanding what it says. And there are many good people who are doing that. David Wood is doing a great job with that. You're doing a great job in Indonesian. She's probably our best in the world who's doing it in Indonesian and really unpacking, having herself come out of this book. She used to follow this book. She used to be her revelation. And she has left Islam because of what this book is saying. And what this book is demanding that we do. There's many problems with this book, and we need to continue doing that. And so I encourage those who are listening, continue to do that. Don't stop doing that. Because this book is absolutely heinous. What it talks about, what we're to do with those that we disagree with. The violence in this book. Slay the unbeliever. Besiege them. Lay in wait for every kind of ambush. That is heinous. We don't have that kind of reference in the gospel of Jesus Christ. No, Jesus says to put away our sword. For he who lives by the sword dies by the sword. What a contrast to these two different revelations. Make war on the people of the book. That's us. They're to make war upon us in chapter 9, verse 29. And so that's why we need to confront this book, because of what it's saying. We need to confront this book because of what it's telling Muslims to do. But also we need to confront the man behind the book. Because who is this book given to? It was given to one man named Muhammad, who supposedly received it between 610 and 632, that 22-year period, and he wrote it in two different cities, Mecca and Medina, and it's those revelations that he received from an angel called Gabriel that is the eternal book. This is the book that has never been created. So Muhammad had really nothing to do with this book. He didn't even read or write, they say. He didn't write it down. He had it memorized, and they wrote it down later on. But what is fascinating, this book therefore cannot be critiqued, they say. It's above criticism. Because it is inimitable, as they always say. And you'll hear them say that probably even this afternoon. Because how do you confront that which is eternal? How do you create that? It is coexisting with God. That exists. It is eternal. That's eternal. It has these chapters coexisting with it. So if that is the case, we need to look at, and there are many good people doing that. I love what David Wood said. I love what Sancho is. I want to talk to my ecologist to her. She is actually going and moving through these and finding this doesn't make sense. This is not right. We do not do this today. We cannot say this today about women. Read Job 9 in chapter 4, verse 34. Have as many concubines as you want in chapter 4, verse 24, have four wives for every man in chapter 4, verse 3. To take and plow your wife anytime you want, chapter 2, verse 2 to 3. The worst one, chapter 2, verse 230. Divorce your wife in order to have her back. She has to sleep with another man and then have a certificate of divorce before you can have her back, in chapter 2, verse 230. Those are horrendous. Nowhere in the world should we have verses like that, and not in a book coming from God. And yet it's right here in this book. So we need to confront those verses. You women need to confront those verses. You men, you need to confront the other ones. You say that you can beat your wife. You need to confront that. Because you got your wife right here. Don't you ever beat her. Because we go to this book. We are to love our wives as Christ loved the church. And ready to give our lives to our wives as Christ gave his love to us. There is the contrast. There is the other side. So what we're trying to do, and we're trying to get people to realize the battle is much bigger than just up to the grocer on the corner. In order to engage with Abdul, you're going to have to start asking not about what he does or says, about where he gets his authority from. Where does he go to find out what he should do and what he should say? And it's not coming from his imam. It's not coming from his father. It's not coming from his community. It's coming from this book. That's why, especially for you Arab speakers, those of you who are Arabs, they know what it says in Arabic. They may not know it directly because this is Quranic Arabic, it's one of the lines Arabic, and maybe know more of an indigenous form of Arabic, global form of Arabic. But nonetheless, they understand what this book is saying. The guys and gals that I've been working with the last 45 years are they don't understand it. That's why they keep on introducing whole new ideas that are not in that book, assuming that it's there, and they have no idea that much of what they're doing cannot be supported by this book. But what's fascinating is, doesn't matter where I go through the world, they all come back to this book. Everybody comes back to this book. But who else comes back to a book? Don't you? Don't you? Don't you ever come back to this book? And I always say where I go, which is the better book. Look at the one. Look at the one. I do that purposely because and as you go this afternoon, you'll be going down this afternoon. I can't because I have a lot of deadlines I have to work on. But those of you who are watching, go and take these two books with you. These are really the only two tools you need. This one Bible, one Bible, and one point behind the Bible. Please don't copy that part. Exercise that. One Bible and one Quran. Because really, when it comes down to just comparing these two, just comparison, when you do comparison, how many have done that? Have you done a comparison between these two books? Have you noticed? There's no comparison. Have you noticed that? They're so easy. This one fits everything that's right. Isn't it fascinating that the whole world seems to come back to this book? I lived in Senegal for 5 years with my wife, and there 97% of the population was Islamic. And I used to always ask them, why is the Yoruba Sharia law here? So why is it following French law? Is it not deployed? I told you, well, you throw out the colonial powers. You did that in 1960. You know what about colonial? Why haven't you gone back to Islamic law? Why haven't you gone back to the first schools of law? The Maliki, the Shafi, the Hanbali, the Hanafi school? Why does that not exist? And they kind of laughed at us. I said, exactly, it's not interesting. You can't follow Islamic law. Because if you start following Islamic law, you know what happens? It used to be your thief. You call it a thief. Chapter 5. Verse 39 is right here for I'm sorry, 5 verse 38. You know what happens if you're doing adultery. 100 lashes. What do you start introducing 100 lashes into Senegal? But half the population here has done just that. Senegal has a real problem with infidelity and adultery. I said, look at the Quran. Look at these verses. This is what Sharia law. It is impossible to laws and institutions are based on this book. Look at the most universal document, human document, human rights document, HNDC. How's that probably use of that? HDML. And they know how that gets thing happening. Human document of human rights council. It's the document that's signed by 126 countries around the world. Which stipulates what is universal level. HNDC, I think is what it's called. Look at every one of those articles. There are 28 articles in that document. You can look at every one of those 28 articles. They are all based on the Quran. All based on, you can find scripture after scripture that supports it. There are 9 articles that are confronted by this book. HNDC, I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about. It's fascinating to me that even the most universal document in the world today follows biblical scripture and not the Quran. But that should surprise me. When I see what has happened to those countries that are trying to shut it off. And I see those groups that are trying to go back, the Somali groups that are trying to go back, groups like ISIS, groups like Al-Qaeda, Al-Shabaab, the parties, groups you know, they're actually going back to this book and they're quoting it. But the journal that in the magazine that was put out every week by ISIS, they're in Syria and Iraq. Is that what just think about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? What is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? UDHR. Sorry, that's what 2 acronyms are. So UDHR, that is the most universal document. Look at the 28 articles there and see any that are unbiblical. That's the beauty of it. But anybody who really wants to know how we are to work, how we actually live morally, they always come back to the example of Jesus Christ. They always come back to Jesus Christ. Which tells me we're on the right track, folks. We know that we have not only followed a person that's in this book, but a model of that person, a paradigm of Jesus Christ. What he said, we're to say. What he did, we're to do. And most importantly, everywhere I go, people are doing that. The second people do, the humanists do, and the Muslims are fighting humanism. That's why they're all coming here in big droves. Now, some Muslims say, well, I'm coming here because of education. Or I'm coming here because of economy. They're better economy. So our question is, well, why is the economy so good here?